We move along. Timmy Fred, Gregory Jeffrey. We send it up to Jake Digman and keep the party rolling.
The following contest is in the RFO welterweight division, and it is brought to you by O'Brien's Pub. Introducing first, making his way down the aisle into the blue corner, please welcome Tim Fred.
Tim Fred making his mixed martial arts debut. And he is coming and representing Aries Combat Sports Academy, and that means he's joined by Dave Graff, who's really developing a solid gym at Aries Combat Sports Academy. Tim Fred has been training for between 2.5 years. Right in that area, he's a freestyle fighter. He's got real hard leg kicks, hard knees, but the thing that separates Tim Fred is his heart. And when a guy like Dave Graff, another guy who's been around Ohio MMA for a long time, when he talks about one of his fighters having heart, we know what type of fighter Dave Graff is.
Absolutely. Dave Graff was a guy that would never, ever, ever give up. And you see him right there on the screen to your right. And he's got his arm around his fighter, and he's giving him the advice he needs.
Dave Graff in the hat, Tim Fred next to him. This is a big-time prospect coming out of Aries.
Making his debut tonight. I'm sure the nerves are there, but Dave Graff, with his experience, told him everything he needs to know about making a debut.
As I spoke to Dave and we were talking about his fighter and Aries and what it means to him, the thing he kept going back to was heart and how much heart he had and how you could never take this guy out of a fight. And it's those intangibles that you won't see on the tail of the tape, but they show up inside the cage.
Absolutely. And when you're in there sparring with those guys over at Aries, and he just keeps saying, I want another round, I want another round, give me one more round. You know, sometimes I've heard of guys, I've talked to coaches that said, hey, I got to kick this guy out of the gym because he's got to go rest. He cannot train nonstop. But he's the kind of guy that they say he just wants to keep going.
Talk about Aries Combat Sports. Dave Graff has a bunch of young up-and-comers. They have a very solid wrestling program, and they also have Master Ben, who just last night, Thai coach, just last night was working on the kicks and the legs and working specifically with Tim Fred to prepare. They're training all the way up to fight night.
Absolutely. And, you know, there is a time where you do need your rest, and you got to trust in the training you get. But I do admire those that say, hey, man, if there's something I can learn last minute, just one little extra thing to give me that advantage, I admire that.
Tim Fred makes the walk for the first time, and we send it back to Jake Digman.
And his opponent making his way down the aisle, please welcome Greg Jeffrey.
Greg Jeffrey comes in with a 1-0 mark, representing Adrenaline Academy. This is a pressure fighter. He's all around. He's trained for a year. All around a very balanced fighter. And he has power in his hands. Comes in that first fight was an 8-second knockout, John.
I was just going to say, when you said he's a pressure fighter, there's nothing like pressure. I mean, in 8 seconds, do you even have time to get to the middle of the cage, touch gloves, and circle? No, 8 seconds, kaboom, lights out.
26 years old for Jeffrey. 2-inch height advantage for Tim Fred. Both these guys very young in their career. John, how much of an 8-second fight would you say has kind of gotten the cage jitters out compared to Tim Fred, who's never done it before?
You know what, it deep down places that you don't talk about at parties, do you say, oh my gosh, that gave me the most confidence, I know I've got this power? Or are you saying, ah, man, that was a lucky punch, did I really get any experience? So it's one or the other, and only he can tell you that, and probably only tells his psychologist. But it is one of those things that 8 seconds didn't really give him all that much experience, unless he said, I saw the opening, I turned over my right hand, boom, hit the button, I know I got what it takes.
Coaches are very confident in the hands of Greg Jeffrey. They're also confident in the cardio. They believe it will hold up for the whole 9 minutes if it goes that far. We're still in the amateurs welterweight division. Very solid camp at Adrenaline Academy, which Greg Jeffrey represents.
And if what we've seen so far by the matchmaking of Matt Trukovich and his crew here at Revelation Fight Organization, You know, for them to identify such young fighters and pair them up to where it's not lopsided, it's astounding as far as their matchmaking goes.
We get Jake Digman for the official introductions.
The following contest is in the RFO welterweight division, and it is brought to you by O'Brien's Pub. Introducing first in the blue corner, he fights out of Streetsboro, Ohio. He weighed in at 168 1/2 pounds, representing Aries Combat, making his MMA debut. Please welcome Tim the Workhorse Fred. His opponent in the red corner, he fights out of Sandusky, Ohio. He weighed in at 167 pounds, representing Adrenaline Academy with an MMA record, 1 win, 0 losses. Please welcome Greg Jeffrey. This bout is scheduled for 3 3-minute rounds. And when the action begins, your referee is Todd Augusta.
The debuting Tim Fred in the black and red. To the left of your screen is the 1-0 Greg Jeffrey. That's Dr. Todd Augusta. He's the third man in the cage. Ryan Cavanaugh along with John Sturmack bringing you the action. And this should be a good one. Welterweight division, amateurs, 3 3-minute rounds. Tim Fred looking to close the distance in a hurry on Greg Jeffrey. Big right hand from Fred.
And you could tell Jeffrey, he is throwing with intensity. That is why he had an 8-second knockout. He's looking to duplicate it.
Both fighters trade right hands, and Tim Fred gives him a nod like, I feel that power.
Ooh.
Huge body kick by Greg Jeffrey. Another. And these guys are throwing heat in the cage. Big right hand by Jeffrey lands. Beautiful takedown defense by Greg Jeffrey.
Right now, Fred's got him up. Oh, he got switched around.
Oh, Jeffrey takes top control as Fred looks for a trip.
Yeah, Fred looked for a trip, and it didn't work out, and now he's in a world of hurt as he's mounted.
Greg Jeffrey and mount, and Fred looking to reverse it, and he does. Beautiful reversal by Tim Fred in the guard of Greg Jeffrey.
And typically that is pretty difficult to do from that position, but he pulled it off.
Well, we know the wrestling at Aries Combat Sports Academy is solid, and Tim Fred, one of Dave Graff's up-and-coming students, showing that to be the case.
Right now he's just looking to get his right arm free, which he does.
Look at Jeffrey with those hips looking for an armbar.
Nice job here by Fred. Nice shots.
Real solid punches landed. And Fred was grabbing his own wrist, the left wrist, holding him in place. Is that a common technique to maintain your opponent's back flat against the ground?
Very impressive, especially for a guy 0-0. I mean, to do that's high-level stuff. And right now he's doing a good job. He keeps grinding his head into Jeffrey's face, trying to keep his back pinned to the floor, because the one rule you learn day one of jiu-jitsu, your shoulders never touch the mat. And he is trying to make sure they touch the mat, and that's how he's able to get off big punches.
Real solid ground and pound by Tim Fred. Jeffrey working for an armbar, and does he have it?
Oh, he might have it.
Fred rolling, he's out. Beautiful display by both men.
Not only was he out, that he was able to come back and get in a couple of shots right there. Impressive first round by both of them.
This matchmaking by Scott Corbin continues to be outstanding. I don't know where they're finding these 1-0 and 0-0 fighters, but they're all high level.
And not only are they, sometimes at an 0-0, 1-0 fight, you see, it's exciting because it's wild. No, these guys have legitimate technique.
We saw a near armbar that we thought was deep, and then a beautiful escape and reversal. We take a look at the action from the first round. John, take it away.
Here we go. We see both fighters just throwing haymakers, connecting. And then here comes I believe this is going to be the ill-advised takedown attempt where Fred is going to try to take down Jeffrey, and then it doesn't go to his advantage, but he reverses it immediately.
Nice work up against the cage. This is just two real solid young fighters getting after it.
Yeah, both of these guys are really, really impressive in the welterweight division. And we're going to get a second round, and at this rate, hopefully a third.
Real good work by both fighters.
And here's where we're going to come in, and here's where we talked about at the top. Greg Jeffrey, great 8-second knockout, but did that test your cardio?
Well, Greg Jeffrey, if Tim Fred might be best served to get this fight back to the mat because he felt the power of Jeffrey, shook it off, but Jeffrey is a power puncher.
Absolutely, and I think he's going to look to do that again. And
it's Fred who catches Jeffrey, looking for the double. Good takedown defense. How about that right hand by Fred?
That was beautiful beautiful technique. Hit him twice, closed the distance, and got the fight exactly what you said. What I'm sure his corner said was, listen, you had great ground and pound. He had no answer. Let's keep going.
Great ground and pound by Tim Fred, and look at the control, not allowing Gregory to get those active hips working.
And I could hear Dave Graff saying, stick your head into his chin and punch.
Dave Graff telling him heavy hips, no sweep. And you know, we've already seen Greg Jeffrey and his propensity and ability to get those hips up and threaten submissions from the bottom.
And how about Tim Fred? How smart is it to not only put your opponent up against the cage, but do it in your own corner?
We'll see if Jeffrey's able to kick and push off.
Now this is amateur, so he's not allowed to up kick to the face.
Greg Jeffrey dives into the guard. Very comfortable here in top control.
Doing a good job. He's pressuring his hips.
Beautiful ground and pound. Fred all over Jeffrey. Oh, and he just gave him his arm. He just gave him his arm.
Literally, yeah. He just put it right in there.
When he works it out. Wow. Almost a fatal mistake.
And now the side control. I was just going to say, he needs to control his hip, otherwise he's going to be in half guard.
And Fred actually moved into half guard, though. It looked like Fred gave him half guard. Maybe he felt there was more control, and now he's looking to take mount or the back of Jeffrey.
And he's got full mount. He's right on his hips. He needs to get higher.
See the shorts, Firebirds Wrestling Club at Aries.
And there he goes. Now that he's higher, he cannot be bucked off.
Both hands dropping some serious ground and pound. Tim Fred looking to close this one out.
Oh, and he's got the rear naked choke, and that looks deep.
He's got him stretched out. Tim Fred looking for the tap. Can Greg Jeffrey get out? Trying to punch the way out, not under the chin.
Nope, he's not under the chin.
40 seconds to work on the back of Jeffrey.
I was just going to say, he started off pretty deep, but Jeffrey was able to get his chin down. And right now, all it's nothing but. Oh, and he does get it.
Neck crank.
That did not look like a rear naked choke. That looked like a neck crank.
Tim Fred is going to get the second round submission, and Dave Graff in for the hug. Extremely proud of his fighter. Undefeated fighter now at 1-0. Tim Fred.
Wow. You know, he's going to get credit for a rear naked choke, but in my opinion, that was more of a neck crank than anything.
Yeah, I think so. Take a look at, there's the finish.
So here I mean, it's been the theme all night. The matchmaking here has been incredible. We've got young fighters being pitted against each other, where normally you would have one fighter be completely dominant and another not. And then all we're seeing is great fights. You would swear these guys are 6-0, 7-0. Absolutely fantastic. Let's set it up for the official announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Todd Augusta calls a stop to the action at 2 minutes and 31 seconds of the second round, declaring your winner by rear naked choke submission, Tim the Workhorse Fred!
Great fight, man. I'm here with your winner, Timothy Fred. You came in, you looked real sharp, you looked like you're in real good shape. How's it feel to get the W in here?
It feels great, man. There's a big difference. I don't even know what to say right now. My adrenaline's going. But that was fun, man.
That's all right. I'll let you catch your breath for a minute. It's a great fight. Let's hear it for your winner, Timothy. Fred, great fight.
Let's give a shout out to my gym, Aries Combat. They took me in. No experience and made me, everything I am now. And the family and everything. Thank you. Thanks, man.
Hey, everybody knows I went on in the last 3 years and started my own academy, but everybody knows who Brickhouse Boxing and MMA was back in the day, and he's my last fighter from Brickhouse, me and Bill Duff, and I started him from scratch. He is a blue-collar, hard-working guy that I am so proud of. He works 70, 80 hours a week, trains with me 6, 7 days a week, and he doesn't complain. He works hard. We're coming.
Let's hear it for his coach, David Graff.